Liam, Rachel, and Sally. Okay, let's start with Sally. Can you give us update, Sally?
Okay. I don't think my video is working, but I'll just, oh, there you go. So, update on the VC projects. So, yeah, Eugene Kim, he submitted um the revision comments, but we're still waiting on the process right now. So that's still going on. And then Emma's project is
Can you
also
can
in
you, sh
progress.
can you share screen about
Green,
the projects?
like the updates.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so they're still Emma's and Eugene's, it's still
So wait,
um
wait, wait. So I'll set the expectation. Expectation is before each lab meeting, you follow up with the project lead and get updates from them. It has to be updated on weekly basis where things are.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. No, I did get updates from them.
and it can't be on their court. They have to move the ball to the other side. Um, okay, preprint. Where is that for Eugene Kim?
Preprint, he didn't mention about preprint because I did talk to him 2 days ago, and he only updated me about revision submission and how like we're still waiting for them to review it. And but preprint, he did say he will submit it by the end of last week, so I
Yeah,
could ask him about that
yeah.
again. But yeah,
Ask him, and CC me in all the communications so they know it's coming from me. And
okay.
make sure preprint is a lot easier. Okay, so let's get every paper out. Um, we were notified that they don't take case reports, but this is original research, so they can take it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But we're talking through Facebook Messenger, so I will see if we can email if that's easier for you, Dr. Chae.
Uh, it's okay. No, Messenger's fine, but
Okay.
just say, just make sure he knows it's coming from. It's not coming from you. To say
Right.
coming from me. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. So that's it. And then I had a meeting with Dr. Uni yesterday, and we decided, so um we were thinking if TCR reject our paper again, we were thinking of maybe submitting to Helion because we looked at, because I think Helion is like really popular now. Like people are, it's more recognized these days. So we thought it would be a good option, like second option in line.
Yeah, that's fine. You can do Helion next, and then you could do. There's a trend. There's TCR, but there's a
Mm-hmm.
um TLCR. There's a translational lung cancer research by
Oh,
the
okay.
same group, so you can try that one.
Okay. Because our paper is related to not like small cell, um, or
What do you mean? Oh, wait. This
or
is isn't. Oh, this is not lung cancer.
solid tumors. Yeah, solid tumors, so not lung cancer.
Okay, maybe you can do that for Grace Lee's paper.
Oh, later. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe helium next.
Yeah,
Oh, we will.
and then there's a another journal called Scientific Reports. You can
Okay.
try that, Scientific Reports.
Okay. So we will show you the draft by next week. For Helion.
Why next week? What's the hold up?
Oh, we just had a meeting yesterday and had this discussion. So we will,
Are you writing it up or?
we're gonna make some little changes, like add more like graphs, like or figures. And then submit it to Helium next week because they have different formats too than TCR. So we'll change that and then show you the draft next week.
PCR gave you comments but rejected, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, and you made some corrections based on the comments or not yet? Or
Yeah, so that's something that we're working on right now.
okay. Okay, fine.
Yes.
What about Emma? Emma,
Emma's project, so I last update that I heard from Eileen was that she's working on the submission process. So I think she's because I think the word count was longer than what was expected by Helion. So she was like trying to shorten it. And I know undergrads are in their like finals week this week. So um, they've been really busy last week studying for finals. So I don't think there's like a huge update on that, but I know she's working on the submission process.
okay.
Yes.
So follow
But
up weekly.
oh, um,
And
yeah, yes.
same thing, preprint. Every
Yeah. Uh-huh.
original paper has to be sent to preprint journals.
So
Okay.
we were wondering, should we prioritize in submitting to Helion first or the preprint? Because I think they just don't have time right now, so they weren't sure which one to prioritize.
So I don't think it's a matter of prioritization. Helion is priority because,
Okay.
but to me, preprint is just uploading. And it's not
Preprint?
it's uploading your paper to and it to me it's gonna take less than an hour. Um so the principle is, so this is our lab policy. Any original paper that's coming out, when you submit to a regular journal, submit and then you submit the same paper to preprint. And that's a simultaneous process. And it's our policy that we do it, everybody in our lab. And it's Sally and Liam, your job to make sure it gets done. Weekly follow-up, make sure it's done. That's our policy.
Yeah, but BC4 project, that one preprint, it's submitted in preprint. But we haven't received any updates after the submission.
So yeah, so the preprint, they need to give us update, within a week, whether they want to do it or not. So make sure you follow up with them to get the input.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. And then EDW, the process it's still going. It's around 923 patients left to screen. So yeah, and then but undergrads, they it was their last week was their last week. So I think this EDW might be on hold for a little, like for a week or two, but when they get back to their spring quarters, when the spring quarter starts, I'm sure like the pace will be picked up again.
Hmm.
And then we had the retreat last week, so I don't think the students had time to work on the EDW. So
Hmm.
this is our update, 923 patients left. But we have Justin working on it too now, and yeah, so we have like more people working on it. So I think we'll definitely try to get it done soon.
Okay.
And then I
What
was
about,
wondering,
well, I know you're not in charge. What about the MD portion? How are we doing on that? Is
no,
Liam
I'm Dr.
following the
Liam.
numbers? Who's following the numbers? Well, in theory, you both need
So
to.
right now, Dr. Wangi's kind of the person in charge, but everybody's working on it. So
Can you show me the numbers?
Dr. Wangi, would you just or Dr. Chong Chongwoo, he might have access to the
Yeah,
Excel
yeah.
sheet.
So currently we have done about
Can you share
25
screen?
patients.
I want to look at the numbers.
Oh, so it's on the main computer, the file. So I think it'll take some time to transfer the file onto the laptop that we are using for the lab meeting.
Okay.
So
So work on it and just show it to me after this meeting. I want to
Okay.
just go over the numbers. And
Okay.
Sally, you'll be in charge of, putting the part 1, EDW, part 2, the MD screening portion. Make sure you follow up the numbers. Sally, you'll be in charge of telling all the numbers and work with Liam to set the goal. What is this goal for this week, this month, and when's our deadline? Otherwise, it's just gonna be on a whim, like whoever is available. So we need a quota. We need divide and conquer. I know it's a lot of numbers, but at least we need to have a set goal. Otherwise, it's going to be, you know, um, so every week we need to make sure who's doing what, how many patients we did. Yeah, so make the presentable during the meeting, starting from next week. But this week, just you can print it out for me, and I'll look at it with you guys after this meeting. Okay. Okay.
One thing, Dr. Chae, Dr. Lee and I, we talked about maybe building a red cap for EDW, just so that because it's just easier to manage the data later too, because you can always extract the data from RedCap to Excel sheet. So we were thinking about building RedCap and then maybe putting all the information in the RedCap and build a database there.
Think about it. I don't know, putting data in the red cap, well, it from the beginning makes sense. But whatever we collected, I don't know what the best way, whatever we collected, if we put that in red cap, that's gonna take another, it's another step that takes a lot of time. So
Should we
think
just do that
about,
for second screening then? Because we didn't do that many patients yet.
so that's how I want to know how
Um,
many second patients are there and how many did we do so far. And so think about the time, aspect, and let me know what would be most efficient way. I know data extraction, but even Excel file, we can extract data just looking at the Excel. So think about it and let me know
Okay.
what works best, and I will give you my final input on that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because sometimes if we work on Excel sheet, like so many people are working on one Excel sheet together, it gets lost. Like some information there's human errors that you can make. But
But what
yeah, we'll
about
think about it and
Redcap's the same way.
RedCap is so you go in and you input the like you have options to put in for each and like each
I mean, like
question or
more
each
like clicks and it's more
yeah.
error proof?
So
Okay.
it could be more efficient in the long run for the future, but building it and inputting all the patient's information that we are already screened may take a long time, but yeah,
Mm.
it's just an idea.
Liam, what do
There
you
are
think?
pros and cons. So there are pros and cons to both. One con, so I think both are completely valid and workable solutions. One one con or one downside of RedCap is not everybody in our lab is going to have access to RedCap because only Sally and I have access, technically speaking.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's like another thing is that like I mean I know Arnie's working on EDW too, but it's hard for us to also know where she's at in her you know how much she's done and like what it's like hard for her to also update us with her Excel sheet and yeah, we just thought it would if you're willing to give your credentials, I guess that could be a better solution. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
And Monica too. I think she's also working on it. So it's really hard to keep track of with Excel sheet, like who's working on how much and yeah.
Why is it hard with Excel sheet? Because you wouldn't you be able to see what they did?
So I think right now everyone's working on like different Excel sheets. So like someone has to be there to like put all the Excel sheets together. So that just requires more like data transferring into different Excel sheets. And I just think there might be more human error, but in trending the data. But I mean, it's maybe
Mm.
Well,
Technically
yeah,
just copying and pasting from one Excel sheet to the other.
because I don't know if there's anyone who's keeping track of that, like any like the main spreadsheet right now.
So right now we don't have, well, so it's kind of a yes and no. So Dr. Wangi's technically in charge of the project because Monica signed out to him. But then right now, because everybody just got here, there's just starting. What we've done, so we have one master Excel sheet, and then because on Excel, you cannot have multiple people working on it at the same time. So each MD saved their own version with their name on it so that they will work on their group of patients on their Excel sheet. And then at the end of the process, the plan is to combine all of the data into the master file. So we haven't compiled everything yet because everybody's still like very actively working on it. And if I were to guess, I think maybe as of right now, we've done maybe around 100. That's my guess. Dr. Wangi or any of the other doctors in the lab, any guesses on how many patients we've done so far? A rough estimate. Because I know before the current doctors came, we were around like 50 to 60. And I think we should have done about 40, 50 by now, I think.
okay. I mean,
Thing is, yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, one thing, because I know you guys added a new variable, like new things to collect, but I don't know if other doctors who were here previously are updated on that because they're working on the old spreadsheet technically.
Yeah, so this lab, it is time to troubleshoot, ask, should we go back and collect these variables? So again, it's the responsibility of Liam and Sally to build up the database. Ideally, it's it's just like a Google spreadsheet where everyone is working on the same template and the real time they know what's being added. I know Google has workspace. Some are password protected. So we can utilize still those. And then somehow come up with a de-identified version so you can kind of go by the patient ID. The ID generated by us, and then we have that match sheet. So think about those system where you could work remotely even. And then it's updated real time, so no one has to do copy paste. Or and then during copy paste, sometimes the error happens. So I mean, if RedCap is the best option, then I'm okay with it. But just think about it, because you guys are the ones who are actually putting in the data, so you have more thoughts. And how can we make it error proof and real time update, and how can we tally it real time and track who's doing how many and all that. Maybe you can make a diary of who did what, and then at the end of what you did, you just put today I did what, and just put that in, so that you guys as a manager doesn't have to tally it, but it's just done by the people who are doing it every day, and this automatically adds up to the total for each person, and per each month it's and make that a rule. So make a system that will work for everybody. And this is why we have this lab meeting, to brainstorm and do what's best for us. Yeah, but I'm open to any suggestion, but I want the ideas to come from you. So we don't have to make the final decision today, but keep thinking about it and make suggestion to me, and we'll decide what's best for us. But we want a system that updates real time, tallies in real time, and data can be retractable with less errors. So let's, with what we have, let's keep thinking about what we need to do. Okay, Sally, next.
So, update wise, or I had a question about do we have any updates on the TILs, like the tier, like scanning all the H&E slides?
Not nothing specific yet. We're still waiting for the slides to be pulled. We're still working
pulled?
with Dr. Isel and Dr. Batosh, the pathologist. We're going back and forth on the list of our patients and exactly which slide we want to pull from the warehouse. So we haven't received the physical slides yet, but he did say we should have them by next week.
Next week, okay. Because I think with Imagine AI, we wanted to shoot for World Long, but with more data. So hopefully we'll get that soon.
I think we'll be okay if we get the slides next week. I don't know how much quality check and control Dr. Batosh has to run, but ideally we'll be able to get the slides in 1 to 2 weeks, and scanning will take another week. And then once they're scanned, you can do anything and everything you want. So,
but when's the abstract due again? Beginning of April, right?
Yes.
So we are kind of tight on.
April
If you say
5.
1 to 2, you said 1 to 2 weeks to quality check.
I would think so.
Okay, then should we make because we need to meet up with Imagine AI, right? Should I ask them to set up a meeting time
Yeah, I think that would be
in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And if we don't have scan slide by then we can postpone it, but you can, secure a time.
Okay, I'll communicate that with them.
We still have about 4 weeks until the World Lung deadline. So I think we can shoot for it, and like Dr. Chae said, if not, we can go for maybe SITC.
Oh yeah, and then the 26, 27, Liam, work with Susie to move all my appointments because I am going to work from home. 26,
Yeah, I
20.
think you already sent that email to Susie.
Okay, so it's nothing's there. Okay. Just making sure. Okay.
Okay. I think that's all the updates. But my presentation, I will just do it at the end of after everyone updates. Gives their updates today.
Okay, what happened to your PowerPoints?
Oh, I have it. But I should I do it now, or I was gonna do it after everyone else updates? Because I
Yeah.
know you have a meeting at 12, so
Yeah, you have to tell me what you have ready because I will forget. So what do you have ready for today?
hyper progression
Okay.
presentation.
What about the other projects?
The other projects.
So you have the double lung cases.
Yes. That one it's not today, but it's like in next week.
You're working on it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're consenting people, and yeah, we're still in that process and building the red cap together. So today, Dr. Liam and I will work on it together to update it, right, Dr. Liam? Yeah.
So double lung. So yeah, did I tell you about the two topics, hyperprogression and double lung transplant?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. We'll look at hyperprogression if we have time. But if we don't have time, just print it and I will still give you my input today. So I don't want to,
Okay. Sounds good.
but keep on making double lung transplant slides for the View Medi presentation. Because I want to keep editing it. Once, yeah. Okay, very good, very good. We'll move on. Dr. Wangi, let's do yours first.
Yes, so 4 projects are going on. So for pre-transplant malignancy, it is still under review process. It's been status changes. So I need to submit preprint this one also, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I got it. I will do that for the preprint this week.
and there are options. There's SSRN, there's
Yeah, but here there was no options to submit preprint when I submitted to the journal. So
oh yeah, no,
so
I'm saying when you submit, there are
if there is
preprint journals.
okay.
So Liam has the list of them. So talk to Liam about those.
Okay.
It's in
And
our Chae lab meeting messenger group. I'll bump it.
okay. And the pan organ analysis about the post-transplant malignancy. I finished the draft from my side, and Hansong is reviewing and finalizing, and she's in Korea, so maybe it will take 1 or 2 weeks more, I think. So after that, we will share that. And for metastasectomy, Carlos and Brandon are doing quality evaluation still. For the last week, there was only 4 studies updated, so yeah, it's taking much time. So they will follow up and review the process. And the main topic will be, I think, the campus. So I want to show you the results from them. So last week, campus, last Friday, I think they sent this preliminary data. So for mucinous, it is updated to 699 patients. They also have lapidic and non-lapidic, but however, the lapidic is very small number. So I'm not sure whether maybe later we can compare lapidic and mucinous. I'm not sure if it's clinically very meaningful, but the number is quite similar. So they compared anyway mucinous and non-mucinous. Other studies are other variables the same as the last week, but they updated with the information about treatment, what kind of first-line treatment is very heterogeneous. And
There's some, you're breaking up. I don't know why.
yeah, sorry.
Do, can you, do you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can you hear me?
Dr. Wu's breaking up.
Seriously. Can you hear me?
Can't hear you well. I don't know what's going on.
Can you hear me?
I hear you, but it's still breaking up.
So this is kind of major figure from campus.
Hmm.
So we have meeting today 1:15, and I think they stratify the mucinous group according to the first line treatment. So we'll ask how to do more subgroup analysis in mucinous groups so that we can get more information. And our basic hypothesis is there will be some difference between extensive IMA and localized IMA. So we will ask whether they can compare those uh, survivors, treatment, also gene expressions, so that we can compare. There could be some marker to see which one is extensive one. So yeah, that is the kind of major, I think, question today we will have.
So my so is this survival curve in every stage, right? It does.
Yeah.
But I guess if usually people send tissue to Tempus when they're stage 4. Usually. And survival kind of reflects that as well. But I guess here it's hard to say, right? It's
Yeah.
but looks like mucinous is worse prognosis.
Yeah, compared to non-mucinous, mucinous is worse here, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but however, we want to find some groups among mucinous who have different prognosis.
Mm.
So
But
I want to ask them to share the
Mm.
survivor data of these 699 patients. Then we can do some more subgroup analysis from our perspective. So yeah.
Yeah, I think what we want to show that we talked about this. If mucinous, like a dream candidate, if it's only spreading in bilateral lungs versus distant mets, how how would the survival be different? Things like that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't.
Also, I think there is no information about the immunotherapy result among IMA. So, you know, so this Kaplan-Meier curve, the information will be variable, even, it is not that significant. We can show them, in mucinous, the impact is different. So, and later they also have PD-L1 and other, this is about gene expressions.
What gene is this?
Yeah.
All genes. Oh,
Yeah, all these. So we need to find which one should be
yeah.
some kind of, but that will be some another process. So we will ask them and talk. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think based on these data, we can also proceed with writing articles, just comparing mucinous and non-mucinous, and just show these kind of very general information about this. And also, but I think it's much more valuable to stay more focused on IMA.
Yeah, I think IMA. Uh, yeah. Um. Yeah, we can do more of gene expression analysis. So I know they have overall survival. Do they have progression-free survival or duration of therapy, maybe?
Based on the data, I think that I haven't seen those information, but there is some kind of, this is Cox proportional. So I don't know what these months means. Maybe just follow months, I think. So they might have some data. So yeah, we are not sure yet. They have progression free or not.
But it's interesting how the hazard ratio and they have. What does that mean? I've not seen 1 year, 2 year, 3 year.
Yeah, that I so we need to ask what this timeline means. It means kind of duration of therapy or just follow-up period. So
Yeah, and it looks like immunotherapy versus chemo alone. And is this first line or any line of therapy?
maybe it will be first line.
Huh. It's like a first line immunotherapy does worse than chemo,
Mm-hmm.
and then chemo alone looks like it's doing worse.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't make sense. Like if you add immuno, they seems to do worse. That might be true. Immuno doesn't work in
Yeah.
we know, but to show it like this is very interesting. But yeah, let's find out what this means. And then targeted therapy. There's a lot of targeted therapies here. So I'm
Sorry.
I so this is a characteristic.
Mhm.
Um, okay. Can you go down?
Down. Okay.
So here is the hazard ratio OS, and you have
Yeah.
mucinous versus non-mucinous. Mm, so the first hazard ratio 1.46, we understand mucinous does worse in
Mhm.
non. But then the next one, 1.44, I don't know what it's comparing. Looks like immunotherapy versus chemo. Chemo
Yeah.
hazard ratio 1, but immunotherapy given for the first 12 months. Not really sure what it really means. Because it's mucinous. So isn't it still mucinous versus non-mucinous? Because
Mm,
you know what I mean, the mucinous versus
yeah,
non-mucinous
yeah.
is there. Is that the hazard ratio?
So we need to ask what they
Yeah,
compare.
what they actually did. What's the reference?
Yeah, yeah. So
It seems like non-mucins can be referenced, but then the chemo alone looks like reference, and it's so hard to interpret.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And differential gene expression, I think, is meaningful to understand what they are, mucinous genes, and yeah. Okay. Tumor mutational burden, mucinous, yeah, neoantigen. Okay.
Days to first distant mass was longer in mucinous.
Mm.
And this, I think they just compare the
First time.
the over. This is the Kaplan-Meier survival curve for, and for all patients, I think mucinous and non-mucinous.
Oh,
So might be based on these data, they made that table like Cox proportional hazard. Immunotherapy is worse.
but
But majority is non-mucinous.
but in non-mucinous, usually chemo immuno does the best.
Mhm. But here it doesn't look like that. So
So also ask whether this is everyone combined or mucinous or non-mucinous. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So this figure is kind of something valuable in this analysis. And for this, we need to make some more simple subgroup analysis so that there could be some difference among mucinous. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's still valuable because they have the largest number of IMA here and real world data. So might be,
Mm.
yeah, that's this the update. So we will talk today and discuss how to proceed.
Okay. And going back to the lipidic, I don't think they did a good job in terms of identifying the lipidic ones. So maybe talk to Haesung because we talked about it in our previous lab meetings. And they gave us how they defined lipidic,
Mhm.
but I think there was a major error in
Also, I think comparing lipidic and non-lipidic, the number is too different, so it might not be very
yeah,
informative. Yeah.
no, it's not informative. So I think we need to redefine lipidic and get a the first raw list of lipidic and how they assigned patients to lipidic and see if N can go up. Yeah, think about that. Yeah.
Okay.
And for mucinous, it can be a nice landscape paper of itself. Um, but if we have a staging and organ of metastasis, I think that's the most important clue for
They have
dreams.
information about staging. So here, stage 3 is 112, 4 is 176, but about 200 patients were missing about that, and there was kind of biopsy site. They mentioned some where the tissue came from. The most of them were from intrathoracic, so
Mm.
only about 60 something was from outside of the thoracic cavity. So the number is not that higher than expected. So, and here they don't have radiologic data, so where the metastasis exists. So that from that point, it would be difficult to compare, extrathoracic, intrathoracic, but we can do just extensive, like, or limited stage 1 or 2 and stage 3 and 4. Yeah. Then
Yeah,
later,
I know the numbers are very small, but you can do non-lung biopsy proven,
Mm,
metastases. It's small number, but still just have that
okay.
as a metastatic versus not metastatic. Well, there's
Okay.
a lot of assumption, but still do whatever you can to see if
Okay.
there's meaningful. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
For this one, I think this can go to JTO. It's a thoracic.
Okay.
The other one as well. Yeah, I think could be JTO. We start from JTO and then, yeah. Okay. Anything else?
So last week, Rachel and Jung, we talked about some other. Soin want to join the IMA project, so she wanna come to the meeting together and discuss how to do. And Rachel and Jung will also had some brainstorming about some research ideas.
Mm,
And Rachel will focus on the SEER database about IMA.
mm,
There was a data research published in 2021, I think. I shared the article with Rachel, and she's searching how to do SEER database analysis. Maybe she can give some brief data or ideas.
okay.
And for Jungwoo, we talked about some immunotherapy side effects related to virologic complications. So
What
we talked
complication?
about encephalitis cases because
Encephalitis.
it is very rare, but it seems there are many case reports. Maybe, yeah, we can do some reviewing literature about immunotherapy and encephalitis.
That's so rare.
Yeah, so rare. Yeah.
It's
So
report. It's not original research. It can never be original
yeah,
research.
yeah.
You can
So
be a
there is a
case report.
yeah, maybe you can combine all case reports and present some summarized data from that. Maybe I'm not sure how you think about these projects.
I think it's so rare. It's gonna end up being a case report, case series. I don't think you have volume enough to do meta-analysis. And
Ah,
it's a clinical report. Uh, I mean, there are hypotheses and there's like paraneoplastic syndrome. There's many, we have a transverse myelitis patient too. Patient could not walk after getting immunotherapy. So there are such side effects. But I think for it to be done in a laboratory setting, I mean, you can be a resident and fellow and write case series. That's fine. But
yeah.
if you are doing a research in a lab, I don't think it fits our direction. Yeah.
We were thinking of just a systematic review of those cases. There is one paper published in JAMA Neurology, and there were about 60 cases, and half of them were from lung cancer patients, And after that, there was some more case reports about lung cancer, immunotherapy related encephalitis.
Mm.
So if we add up them and just focusing on that, then it can be some, we thought that it can be some abstract for these issues, but yeah, if it's not technically significant or meaningful, then yeah, we can decide to go to another project.
I mean, I don't want to dismiss it, but what are we trying to achieve by writing it? So we need a clear goal. Like, we're not writing a paper for the sake of writing a review to pat Changwoo's CV. We want a clear endpoint. Like, well, we don't know the mechanism of encephalitis. By understanding the mechanism, can we predict who's going to have encephalitis, who's not going to have it? You know, can we, find the biomarker or clinical predictor? What's the next step? Can we design the next clinical trial that will use the biomarker to do the risk profiling? You know what I mean? So it has to be a deeper level, not just ending. Let's do meta-analysis. Okay, yeah, this is the incidence. And this is so rare, we don't understand what's going on. So it's fine to read about it and brainstorm. But for it to, because once you start it, you're gonna put in a lot of energy, to do this. Everything that Dr. Wongi talked about, we have a clear endpoint. We want to understand the biology of mucinous so that we know who to put into DREAM, so it has a clear application. Understanding mucinous will help us, what are the genes that are involved in airway spread only or early metastasis? What are the clear prognostic differences of different type? Is MUC, gene tell us whether it's still going to be confined to lung? And if it does it show prognostic difference? So we're not just writing, landscape of mucinous. We're doing it for the sake of better patient selection, better patient outcome. So now for encephalitis, if we have a clear question, like we give steroid early, it's going to improve their outcome. It detected early. Then, how do we, therapeutically or patient selection wise, do we have a blueprint? If it's just going to be, just pulling cases and writing a review, we don't want to do that. We need a clear goal. And if you read papers, this is so random and scattered, and there's no roadmap. But say, there's the idiosyncratic reactions. Like if you in the surgical room and the anesthesia gets done, like, can you predict it? Like, no, we can't. Sometimes, it's something that's so rare and it's so unpredictable. It's just hard, and just describing it, and it's maybe a good report for medical legal reasons, but we're doing science. We want to make impact in patients' care. Of course, a good case report is important, but that's something you can do while you're doing residency and fellowship. Here we have a dedicated time to actually, hone into scientific questions. So I want to make sure you guys have that scientific question or a question that will impact future patient selection or care. If we can't get it, then we need to drop it. So I want you to continue to brainstorm. But if we don't get to that level, we have to move on to a different project.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's a good question, but yeah. So about the toxicity, what we're trying to do is Carolyn Maloney is our fellow from Ireland. And I had her do a comprehensive review of all the predictive biomarkers for any immune toxicity, all combined, not just encephalitis, pneumonitis, nephritis, because their fundamental mechanism of toxicity is all same. It's the infiltration of the T cells. So what are those markers? germline, a microbiome, look at it all different angles. Radiomics, we have radiomics too, right? So, and it might be a little bit different by organs. Hepatitis might be different from pneumonitis. Encephalitis might be different from nephritis. So it becomes very granular, but it's so hard to. The toxicity report is hard because it's not survival. It's you have to dig through the chart to understand, what's the grade of the toxicity, and can you call this grade pneumonitis? Is it infectious? Is it radiation induced? Sometimes there's no clear answer, and you just have to have like really clear clinical decision-making process, which is gonna be hard unless you have like you have a very confident clinical knowledge. But I think it's a question that our lab is asking, toxicity. But the main question is, what are the best predictors? What's the best way to deal with it? Like the treatment wise. So keep reading about toxicity. I think toxicity is still good. And Jungwoo, if you're interested in toxicity, you can work with Carolyn. She'll be a good mentor for you too. Carolyn's wonderful. She'll be with us for the next, like 2 years. But she can work with you in terms of writing toxicity project. And so one thing we're doing in our lab is a biodesics project where we're using the biodesics signature to predict toxicity. And this is led by Dr. Iser Kim, but I know she's full-time. She has a full-time job in the hospital. It's always been challenging to move this forward, and also with the biodesics being very protective of their data. But Liam, where are we with biodesics? Is it approved, or where are we? Do you know?
I believe we are approved.
So let's follow up weekly, and let's figure out a way to get the data. And maybe this would be a good project for Dr. Jungwoo, the biodesics. It's a mass spec based database, and you have to be, I don't know if you have interest in bioinformatics. This would be heavily bioinformatics driven. But if you are willing to learn statistics, bioinformatics, logistic regression, lasso regression, Kaplan-Meier, all the heavy lifting, how to work with the big data, and maybe apply the forest, random forest, which is AI. Work with Python and R. It may be a good opportunity for you, because if you start residency soon, may not be the right project for you. But if you have dedicated time, this might be something you could work on, because this is new. First mass spec based immune toxicity prediction. I don't know of any other lab doing this. And Dr. Iser worked really hard to annotate all the toxicities. So you can work with her. So think about this project. If you have questions, you can reach out to Dr. Iser and maybe have a separate meeting to learn about the project. You don't have to commit, but you can, if toxicity is what you're interested, then this would be a really exciting project.
Okay,
You can-
so I'll study about the project first.
Yeah, keep reading. There's a lot of abstracts and posters that Dr. Iser presented. So Liam, please share that with Dr. Jungwoo. You have previous yeah. Okay. Going back to Dr. Wongi, anything else?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay, so metastatectomy is taking much longer than we thought. How can we facilitate?
So actually, the final results, we have final results based on the abstract we submitted. And I think once Aranos arrives here, she
Mm.
could just finish it in a month, writing, yeah, and writing, and this quality measure is kind of something necessary to submit to the journal. Other than that, we have all the data, so they can start writing those that maybe, yeah.
Okay, so
Or do
around
you want some kind of timeline to submit the paper?
so it's meta
I was thinking of if there is still much time, then we can, work together and go step by step. But if we want to finish as well as possible, then we can just and yeah. But I want to work together and do the process together.
Mm. So let's do this. The quality check is
Mhm.
required by, there's different criteria for each journal, but where are we submitting this to? JTO?
Maybe, but they don't usually, accept this kind of. I'm not sure they are interested in this topic, so it would be some kind of just open access journals or others. So
So yeah, send email to the editor
mhm. Or
the
abstract.
with the abstract. I think I haven't seen any, review paper on this topic, and this is meta-analysis too. So meta-analysis is considered original research. So
Yeah.
so they should consider this. Yeah, if JTO is not interested, then it's metastatectomy is surgery. So, thoracic surgery journal. I don't know. What's more?
So JTCVS is the biggest journal in thoracic surgery, but they don't accept meta-analysis.
Oh, okay.
So there are other European and other journals, but they have very high standards
Mm,
of evaluation. But maybe we can try. Yeah, we can try to European Journal of Cardiothoracic or other thoracic surgery journals. They are all impact factor is around 3 and 4, and most of them are open access. So yeah.
mm.
So I will just try to reach out JTO and then get some response from them. Then yeah, then think about how to do.
Yeah, and then the preprint, I want to get it
So
out there. The reason is I need to convince people who have doubts about cohort C, cohort B. I want them to be able to
be
look at our data, like download our PDF file from the preprint. So preprint will not require you to have all these quality checks. Preprint is,
okay.
yeah. So why don't you write the paper up, and you can write it together, whatever, but I think time is of essence because of cohort B.
Mhm.
Let's do the preprint. Let's at the same time just send the abstract to the good journals, maybe 3 or 4 at the same time, because they're very different in coming, reaching out to you. Our
Yeah.
priority is JTO, but any other prestigious surgical journals, fine. And then if we can't get enough evidence, good traction from them, then we can do. There's a journal called The Oncologist. So it's more like a practical journal. The Oncologist. Um, it clinical. It's clinical.
What about cancers?
Yeah, cancers is fine, cancer. But
Okay.
something like, I don't know, like something like Lancet Oncology or JAMA Oncology, because this has like, you know, this is a good oncology question. It's and then it's a large, and you know, and I think Lancet Oncology, JAMA Oncology, they may be interested.
Okay, okay.
They don't have to be, you know, there's so many chemotherapy articles, but this is like, you know, it's a really good question in my mind. And people, maybe if the editors think this is a good topic that can be addressed for the bigger readership, they will still go for it. So why don't you ask JAMA Oncology, Lancet Oncology, there's also JNCI journal, JNCI. See if they're interested. Yeah, I still think it's a good topic. Just keep asking. You might find a good audience. Because it has public health impact.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and work on preprint and still work on the quality check. Yeah, but that's just a priority. And then for Wongi, for like I told you before, for D, can you make a PowerPoint slide to, you know, more like convince other people that Chord B is a good idea? Can you make a PowerPoint for like 5-10 minute slideshow?
About the metastacectomy data?
Yeah, so why is Chord B, and then Chord B is like non-lung cancer metastectomy through lung transplant, right? So,
Yeah.
and try to make a logic and, you know, use whatever you found to be a supportive data. It not like a journal club, but like more of based on what we know, how can this increase people's these patients' survival or something like that. Yeah, try to make a PowerPoint and I will do the editing with you.
Okay, first I will summarize the metastacectomy data and try to find some other article can bridge metastacectomy to lung transplant.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Dr. Barat said, oh yeah, I met Dr. Barat this morning at Beatrix, and he said Andrea Roth, who we were giving gemcitabine as a bridge to transplant. So she got new lungs and she's recovering well. She got the damaged lung, and he was able to use the reperfusion thing to you know, make the lung usable and then get transplanted. So she was the first one to do that for the DREAM study. So yeah, we were kind of excited about that. So anyway, the point is there's a leiomyosarcoma or some sarcoma case that was done that had lung mets and that got transplanted. So to look for, you know, sort of like off-label or the anecdotal cases that are out there. For adrenocortical, we were the first one, but you know, for non-lung cancer transplant, there has been case reports. So look for those as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's work on, because you know, these review with the endpoint, this is not just for the sake of making PowerPoint slide, but when you do a metastectomy, then we can write a future perspective review. It's not a review article, it's a more like a perspective article about why lung transplant can be utilized for non-lung cancer patients, and just write our own thoughts and perspectives, and we can cite our own metastectomy review, meta-analysis paper. So this is how you become an expert in the field. So the end point is write a perspective article on why cohort B is a reasonable path. And try to develop that logic and develop that supporting evidence. But let's start with making a PowerPoint for now. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Very good. Anything else, Dr. Wu?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, Aranus, any update from you?
Hello, Dr. Chae. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I was not able to attend the previous so many meetings. And the update is that we are doing the quality insurance for our study, and Dr. Wu already updated the group. So apart from that, I don't have any updates.
Okay, good. Keep working on the qualities. And when are you expecting to come to our lab?
Anywhere from like 12th April to 15th April, I'll be in Chicago, like in the lab. Because I got my visa and I got my tickets and everything.
So 12,
April, yeah,
April 12th.
yes.
Okay, that's a month from now. Good. I'm glad you got the visa.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm also giving the exam, so I'll be just done with everything and then I can totally focus on lab and work.
Mm. Great, great. Looking forward to it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Aranos, did you want me to share the screen or are you okay?
No, Dr. Liam, it's okay because Dr. Wu updated the group. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. I know you guys been in lab for a very short time, but I want to hear what you've been doing and answer any question. Let's start with Sarah. Who's Sarah?
Hey, hi. My new name is
You're
Sarah.
gonna have to you get used to it, right?
Yeah. So, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, hear you well.
Okay, so for the last week, I've been updating the EDW, and also I try to read the papers that Dr. Chae talked about last lab meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I was interested in the whole genome sequencing and everything.
Mhm.
And it wasn't easy to follow the Nature paper, but I've been working hard.
Uh-huh.
And as Dr. Wongi said,
Uh-huh.
hopefully I'll be able to participate in the IM8 project.
Mhm.
And he taught us the R processor and taught us how to kind of do the statistics and making tables for the papers. And I've been reviewing that as well.
Very good, very good. So that Nature paper, do you think you
Mhm.
can do journal club?
Yes. Yeah.
Are
I'll
you able to do
try.
it today?
No, not today.
Not today. Next, are you able to do it next week?
Next week.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let's do it then.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and then you can do the IMA project. So keep reading about, read about airway spread, okay? So the question is, now you've seen our dream patients, and the whole idea is, why do some lung cancer spread only through airway? Why? What pathway makes it happen? What's the trigger? Or what is the biomarker that predicts it? And if we can identify these patients, like EGFR, it's almost, if you have EGFR, use the EGFR tyrosine kinase inhibitor, TKI. My dream is, let's say you run a test. It could be a gene expression test. It could be IHC. It could be or AI platform that tells us this is a lipidic, airway spread through airway space. It's called STAS. It's called STAS. What is the best marker for STAS other than pathologists like really looking at all the areas of the H&E slide? Can we come up with a simple biomarker, and that tightly relates with no distant mets, no lymphatic, no bloodstream spread, whatever that marker will be. If we discover that, we can actually propose a curative intent treatment, which is bilateral double lung transplant. So everything we're doing is for a purpose, to save lives. And by doing these type of research, I want you to keep reading. Who has asked a similar question? Which group? And what have they discovered so far? In the English, there's an expression that we're standing on the shoulder of giants. So you have to look far. You can't just do any research from scratch. You have to get at the very end, like everything that people have published or presented, even like abstract form, you have to know about it first. You can't duplicate work. What you don't want is like do a research and then, oh, someone else already done it. You don't want that. It's a waste of your time. So what you want is you have to understand everything about the topic from the literature, and don't stop at the publications. Go to all the relevant meetings and go to their abstract website and download all the abstract. If they have a poster, remember, poster has a lot of information that abstracts haven't even mentioned. Download all the posters, whatever you can, get all the relevant information and synthesize the data and convince yourself, well, I don't believe in this data. I think it has to be validated. Well, this is the wrong direction. You have to critically assess it. And this is the time to do this lab meeting. Like if you have read paper and then you have a question, Dr. Chae, how do you interpret this? Do you believe in this data? Do you think this is the right direction? This is the time to ask and troubleshoot. So keep reading, build your own hypothesis, and study the literature first. So your question is, like if you're doing IMA, and also same thing with the whole genome project, how is the phylogenetic tree different in STATS lung cancer versus non-STATS lung cancer? A lot of people have thought it's a field cancerization, that cancers pop up in different fields, and it's going to be multiple T1 cancers or stage 1 cancers, and not metastatic cancers. So one clone spreads to the other, or is it like simultaneously different cancers popping up and they're all different cancers? So these are two different paradigms. How do you prove it? What's what? By analyzing the clonality of each lesions. And we have a beautiful sample called dream patients, where we have like bilateral lung. We always say we need sample and there's insufficient sample, but here we have sample totally, stored in the biobank, and we can sequence it whole genome and figure out the clonality, and with that we can figure out how it was spreading, and understanding that will help us better identify these patients. And the good thing is I've done a extensive liquid biopsy as well. So we can do a lot of different correlations, their outcome. So the question is, what is the best candidate marker for dream patient selection? That's the number one question. But to get to that, we have to understand the biology behind STAS. We have to understand biology behind mucinous, lipidic, everything related to it. Yeah. So keep reading, and you know, you'll soon discover that you'll be the top researcher in the field because not many people are doing this. Okay, very good. Any questions? Okay, good. Chongwoo.
Yes, so I also have been extracting data from the EMR to build EDW, and also I've been studying for the paper that Dr. Wu said, which was the paper about the immunotherapy induced encephalitis. But I guess I need to change my direction that can go further and change patient outcomes. So yeah, that's what I'm planning to do.
Okay, good. Yeah. So when you guys are this so when you do data collection, what I want you to know is don't do it like a robot. Like always think, why was this patient on this immunotherapy? You know, what is it about the NC guideline that allows patients to get the combination of chemo and immunotherapy? Keep reading the NCCN guideline, like understand why this when these patients come to you and you're the oncologist, like would you have given the same drug? You know, you have to understand why this drug is being used. Uh so so take ownership of that patient, like understand the whole clinical situation. I know it will take time, but that's the only way you learn. And these are real patients who are still alive or who died, and we're learning from them. So there's that part of clinical research, and I want you to be clinically competent. And if you do toxicity research, like how do you define toxicity? Like how do you assess it? How do you grade it? How do you even know that you rule out other etiologies of organ failure? So you have to keep reading. There's a lot of good articles, good review articles, and no one will spoon feed you that. You know, it's available just everywhere. I can show you what's clinically relevant in clinic. That's why I want you to shadow me in clinic so that I can teach you all of these. And once you see that patient in real life, you won't forget it. It's not just a sentence in a paper. So yes, clinical research to me is super important. But asking the right question is the key. Yeah, so keep asking questions and learn, and then the project will follow itself. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So getting the insight and coming up with your own question, I think it's really important. But I will help you, uh, you know, conceptualize, and then the good questions and the next steps. Okay, good. Rachel?
Yeah, for the last week, as Dr. Sain and Joe said, I learned I did some EDW works, and then I also learned from Dr. Wongis about the R commander. And then in addition to this, I also try to figure out and find out some topics and article I can be interested in and I am interested in. First of all, I discussed with Dr. Wongi. I read the paper, one paper talk about epidemiology and survival outcome of mucinous adenocarcinoma with the SEER population-based study. Because let me share my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep. Let me start the slideshow. This one is the paper I discussed with Dr. Wongi, and then with his comments, I read this paper. And they talk about the epidemiology and survival outcomes of these carcinoma by SEER, this database, because the SEER database has some features. In the features, these one have no, just let me introduce about the SEER. SEER means surveillance, epidemiology, and end result. And the SEER mission to support cancer research on diagnosis, treatment, and outcomes of cancer since 1973. And every spring, they release a data about the cancer diagnosis, about like 550,000 annually. So I thought the database is very huge. So we can use this data to analyze the data and update the information. And then otherwise I focused on is that SEER data has 3-year time lag between the diagnosis and reporting of cancer. So the paper was released in 17 April 2018. It means the information on this paper just about the cases until 2015. And after this paper, there are no updated paper. So I thought I can update the information and write a paper with the CRD's database. Yeah. And then other thing is I just let you guys see the this database, how they work on. And then I request the access for the data. And this one is rate. We can calculate, extract the data from SEER, and we can calculate the rate. And this one is prevalence and survival rate. Everything is included in database.
Oh, are you showing some other screen? Because I see the blank
Oh,
screen.
sorry. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so what I'm saying is that these buttons include rate and survival rate and prevalence, everything's in there are there, so we can use this information and analyze this, get the table and write paper. So I thought SEER, this database is good to use for the research, and then as what I'm saying, I can update the information and write a paper after the paper published 2018.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Keep, yeah, searching for, so understand their data structure and what data you can pull and what variables you're going to compare.
Mhm.
With the idea, so epidemiology is important, like, what's the actual incidence of mucinous? I don't know if it's possible, but if you can look at lipidic, which used to be bronchoalveolar, but it's look at those as well. I know mucinous is gonna be a independent one project, but the other one is like, like Dr. Wongi found out GGOs turning into, bronchoalveolar pattern. They don't use that term anymore, but when they first made this database, they might have made that too. There's a lot of database still use all terminology. So lipidic growth or airway spread, bronchoalveolar, GGOs. Look at that as well if you're looking at it. But again, those are two separate projects. That versus mucinous. In mucinous, because they have stage, and if they have sites of metastasis or at least extrapulmonary or lung limited, I would look at that to see if they have that information. And mucinous versus non-mucinous, if you can compare that in terms of survival, progression, and by staging, that would be good. And I don't know if they have obtained any mutation information. Usually not, but did you look into it? Do they have
I
EGFR?
saw the selection, I already I saw the KROS, but I will figure out what they have and then update to you.
Yeah, so comparing mutational landscape is also good. And then, it would be a separate paper, but once Dr. Wongi writes the mucinous paper, where we have abstract that's submitted, right? So we can use that abstract in our discussion and make comparison, like, what's different, EPIS data and Sears data. Yeah, but I think it's a good a good original research. Again, understanding the biology of one particular lung cancer. So my hypothesis is this. I've seen two extremes. One mucinous, showing distant mets very early and never respond to any therapy, and patient dies within 6 months. I had a 30-year-old Korean girl who had this type of cancer. She was a photographer in New York City. And she came to me and died in 6 months. Nothing worked. It was mucinous lung cancer. Had a lot of bone metastasis that she suffered so much pain. And there's GGO turning into mucinous, and it never spreads outside lung. And they live a lot longer than the former type. So in my mind, mucinous is biphasic. That's my theory. I don't know if there's a data to back it up, but we have to see maybe we can find a group with more aggressive phenotype and then less aggressive phenotype. And it's hard, not under, so sometimes we call it stage 4, but like I said, it could be multiple stage 1s and they just grow slowly and eat up the whole lung, and we're going to call it stage 4 because we can't keep biopsying everything. You know what I mean? So multiple stage 1 usually do better than all stage 4s. But it's logistically it's hard to prove what's what. So it's there's that component to it. So don't believe every data. It's it's about how we acquire the data. But anyway, keep all these things in mind and develop plan with Dr. Wongi, and yeah, I'm sure he'll work with you closely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, Seungwon, you go by Sue. Sue, do you have any comment or questions?
I just got here, so I was just trying to understand what's going on. So I did put, 1 or 2 entries in EDW, but not much progress so far.
Sure. Yeah, keep reading and because I see mostly lung cancer, read the NCCN guideline. Like how do you
Yes,
treat?
I was going through the NCCN.
Yeah, that will kind of give you an idea. Good, good. Liam, go through anything you have.
Just a couple of things. I'll just share my screen. So this past week, I've been mainly working with some of the other members in our lab who are not here currently. So I've been working with Seong on some of the posters that we were working on with Picture Health, and I've also been working with Tarek and Carolyn on their projects. And so I did want to give you an update on the pacemakers manuscript. Remember last week we had the question about IRB approval, whether or not we needed it.
Uh-huh.
So I emailed IRB and they sent me a response, but basically, like there's 2 ways to approach it. They did say if it is a human research, we have to submit for IRB before the initiation of the study. So that might be problematic. So what I thought of is the idea of potentially framing this or approaching this as a retrospective analysis of de-identified reflection essays. Because if we frame it that way, it does not technically constitute human research, and we would be able to proceed without IRB approval. But I did want to run it by you and make sure you are okay with that approach. If not, we would have to make a proposal and submit to IRB.
So do you think that will fly? Retrospective analysis of de-identified essays?
I think so. I mean, we are kind of blurring the boundaries a little bit, in my opinion. But it was tricky because initially, the reflective essays were being collected anyways. And then we had the idea of doing the qualitative analysis kind of as an afterthought. And that's what we've done.
Right, exactly. Yeah. We collected essay just for the sake of like
Yeah,
kind
just
of
for like
understanding their thoughts, not like doing a research.
Yeah, so in the email I had said it was more for like a team building kind of reflective essays. And so
Oh, it makes sense. Yeah, more for team building purpose, like a retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but later we came up with an idea. Let's analyze it, like academically, and I think that makes sense. Now, if you explain it that way, I think it will make sense to even for IRB members to make it exempt. Let's do it. Okay, try it. And
Okay.
then,
So if that's the case, I just have to fill out a form, and I don't think we even have to submit to IRB. There was this checklist which I already did, and I think we just have to hold on to it for our records.
so we don't
Just
have
to,
to
if anyone,
we don't need IRB to say this is IRB exempt. We don't?
I don't think so. I don't think so. There was just this checklist that you go through the checklist and does this constitute human research? And if we go by what we just discussed, and which is actually what happened, then it does not constitute human research because we're just looking at the identified like reflective essays. So then we don't need IRB approval. We just need to fill out the form and just kind of keep it for our records. And so if any publisher wants to just look at IRB or IRB related documentation, we just have to give them that checklist.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so we'll do that.
And
then
and what do you have to do to finish writing it up? Are you almost done?
yeah, so I was looking into the IRB this past week, so I wasn't able to work on the manuscript itself, but I'll be able to start working on it again this week.
Okay, yeah, let's get
Um,
it. Hold
one
on.
question.
I gotta
Yeah.
respond back to this. Let's take a 5-minute break. I'll get back to it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I am back. I just had a patient who just developed spinal cord compression. And this is oncologic emergency, and we need to have the patient come in to get stat MRI and have neurosurgery on board. And can't wait. So this is how aggressive lung cancer is, and if it's an impending spinal cord compression, then you can't wait. This patient's gonna be paraplegic very soon, so yeah. Okay, Liam.
Yes. So the next one is regarding Dart desmoid. Which screen am I sharing? Do you see the email?
Yeah.
So we got a minor revision for the Dart desmoid paper, and we just wanted to go over the comments and get your input.
Okay. So I don't think there's a section where it describes what local therapy patient received. Maybe there is surgery or radiation section, yes or no. At least if there is, I don't remember. So if there is a section that's already collected by the local sites, yes, we can describe them when it was given and what that was. If it wasn't collected, we can't go back and collect. So we'll just have to politely say the site did not annotate those local therapy findings. And logistically, it's hard to go back and ask. Just say logistically, it's difficult to get back to, because it was not part of the initially collected database. So we just have to explain why we can't do it. If it is there, yes, we should ask Megan to get all that data and then describe it. So that's number one. Number two, table for those who developed with immune mediated side effects. Clinical course. Clinical course. Especially for those with serious immune mediated side effects. So I don't know what they mean by clinical course. So maybe onset and duration of the side effect as well, but there's a grade to it. So if Megan can get that data, onset and then duration of that grade toxicity, we can describe it. If it's not collected, again, it's hard to go back and get all that information from each sites. So we'll just have to say this is all we have. So again, depends on what we have now.
Do you know if we collect like how the IRAEs were managed, like if they were medicated or if it was discontinued? So it seems like they're wondering if we have like a case report type of information of like what did, how did they present, how were they managed, that kind of stuff.
I've never seen whether steroid was given or not given. But you can ask that to Megan, but my guess is no. My guess is there's duration of therapy. If the therapy coincide with grade 3 or 4 toxicity development, that is usually the reason for therapy discontinuation. So the managing side effect, the most common and the best way to deal with it is therapy discontinuation. And we have that information when therapy was discontinued. I'm not sure if they have a section to describe therapy discontinued due to toxicity. I am not sure about it, but if it coincides with grade 3, 4 development onset, then you can safely assume that it is the case. Unless it really coincides with the progression of disease date, which is going to be super rare. So if the therapy discontinuation coincides with progression of disease, that's the reason. If it doesn't, and if it coincides with the development of grade 3 or 4 toxicity, then that is the cause. And then you can describe it as therapy discontinuation due to toxicity happened in, this patient, and, something like that. You can still describe it that way. But it's a lot of digging. But nothing's easy, but I think the reviewer is asking too much, but it's okay. It's minor revision, and we can still say we don't have the data. But we can do what we can. It's just
Yeah.
Okay, regarding statistical design, I'm wondering what was the rationale to set rationale. Rationale. This was so because this is a NCI funded trial, this was suggested by the NCI CTAP leadership to say that. And then also because this is a hypothesis generating study, with each cohort having relatively small number, we wanted to use a higher bar than 20% or 25%. So that's going to be the two reasons. Regarding, and what is it? What journal is this?
This is the journal.
Yeah.
JITC.
Oh, it's a good journal. I'm surprised. Number 4. Authors discussed regarding potential beta-catenin related resistance to immunotherapy for patients with desmoid tumors, that the current manuscript is not dealing with correlative study results. May be appropriate to include IHC or gene expression study to back up the discussion point. May be reserved discussion point to later manuscript. Yeah, let's just leave it out because we agree that we don't have any correlative, and this was just a the review of the literature. So we agree that we could reserve this discussion for a later manuscript that will contain correlative study in the future. So that means we'll take out this part. It's not super relevant. So good.
Okay, and then review number 2.
Author state and median. A state in the last sentence in the patient characters that one patient had prior exposure. Okay, so that's revised. Authors state that there's no established standard of care. This is not true. It's raffinate. Nero got it benefit. However, so we can say those are standard care and say but still that's limited. Given the limited options available, there is definitely a need for a improved additional effective treatment options, and that could be the combination IO. So you can still address it that way. Number 3, the inclusion criteria, the author stated that patients were eligible to participate if they had progressive disease after undergoing at least one cycle of traditional systemic treatment. However, list the range of prior therapies from how many patients received no prior therapies and why were they considered eligible. Second point, make sure that there are prolonged overall survival. I see. That makes sense. So for those, can you maybe review those 2 standard care options and see whether there's because it might have shown response rate or PFS benefit, but not actual OS benefit. If that is the case, then what's written here makes sense. But if it isn't, we can technically say whether the given available option was actually available for the patient at the time the patient got enrolled into the DART study. So I don't know when patient actually got the study that those available options were available in those local sites, because we're talking about patients who are enrolled many years ago. And we're talking about these options that are available now. So there's that time gap, and that's number 1. Number 2, that's whether a certain therapy is known to effectively increase overall survival, and whether those therapies are available for patient was left, that those decision making was left to the local each site investigators. Yeah, so those are the two reasons why, and then we can ask Megan to make sure that actually there was a patient who never received any other therapy, and this was the first therapy. Maybe that was an error to have a 0 as a prior line of therapy. And there's a language also that patient also can refuse. If they refuse standard of care options, they can still be considered for our clinical trial. I think there's a language about refusing therapy, but I can't. Medical issues. Due to medical issues will be eligible. Due to medical issues. I think there's a language about refusing therapy. You can look for it. If there is such language, you can cite it. If there isn't, we can carefully mention that is a possible reason for no prior therapy too. But that's possible. That's still speculation. The third reason. Okay, next. Intra-abdominal mesenteric desmoid have behaved differently than desmoids arising in abdominal wall. It would be helpful to separate these two groups. So Megan doesn't know. We can only do that by looking at the pathology report. So Liam, do you remember such distinction? Intra-abdominal mesenteric abdominal wall. And then Liam, if you go into the individual patient data, RAVE, R-A-V-E, you can look at the radiology, like the RECIST, where they measure the target lesion, and maybe they'll say mesenteric mass or intra-abdominal mass, and maybe they'll say abdominal wall mass. And that way you can differentiate. Because pathology may say, but it's that pathology would only say what's biopsied. It doesn't say, where the rest of the nodules, desmoid tumors are. So I would look at both pathology report, and you can help. You can help Hesong do this review together. It's not a lot of patients, so I think it's doable. Looking at RAVE and PATH together. And if you can separate two groups and look at any difference in outcome, it's worth reporting it. So, okay, number 5, the author should consider adding columns to the supplement. List the location of prior treatments. Very helpful for interpretation of the results. I agree. I don't think we have it. The location can be found with the same process you will do for number 4. Prior treatments like the surgery or radiation, same thing as the other question from the reviewer 1. If we can get that surgery, radiation, local therapy information from what's already been collected, we should annotate everything. If it's not done, it's hard to go back and collect that. Yeah. 3 patients died without disease progression. Yeah, so this, I'm interested in that. Let's ask Megan what happened to these patients, maybe. Why did patient die? I don't know. Yeah, we need clear answer. But if we don't know, same thing. This is not part of our data collection variables, and it's, you know, we don't know, but I mean, I think this are question, if let's say if we don't find the answer to this, through Megan, you can request you know, data manager or the study coordinator email, or even site PI. The thing is, a lot of site, you know, doctors have moved or retired, so it's hard to get in touch with the doctors, but you can at least get in touch with their cancer center, you know, point of contact and ask this question, you know, for the manuscript clarity of reporting it, we, you know, it was asked that we describe the reason for death. If it wasn't already collected, then we can reach out to them individual sites and at least ask that 3 questions. But that should be done through Megan. 7, the discussion should be revised. Information in the first paragraph restates information provided in the results. It could be removed. Okay, it can be removed. So I've been taught that the current version is following to our knowledge. Um, so I don't think we should say I've been taught that summarized though. We don't have to summarize. So the results can have all these findings, but we don't have to summarize the exact numbers or repeat the exact numbers. We can say, we don't have to cite the exact numbers in the discussion. We can say, response rate, you know, do your, we don't have to put numbers, what I'm saying. You can always refer to the results section, but we can say it had, I don't know, significant, or clinically meaningful response rate and duration, and clinical benefit ratio, or something like just more like words to describe clinically meaningful or reasonable, or you know, you can be abstract in terms of we had good results or something like that. Durable responses or whatever that, yeah, term is. I think the author is saying just repeating the same numbers there. So just get rid of the numbers in the discussion if you can. Discussion should place the results in, where's that? In the context of drugs that are usually used to treat patients with desmoid. Following recent and now neurogastritis. The discussion should also consider the response rate in context with response rate of 20% for placebo in the trial of sorafenib and 8% for placebo in the neurogastritis trial. The paragraph discussing soft tissue sarcoma is less relevant to discussion of desmoid tumors, which are benign and not sarcoma, and could be removed. That can be removed. So we can mention those placebo, and desmoid tumors can have spontaneous regression. That's why even if you give placebo, 20% will show response, and that's 30% reduction, and that's just mind-blowing. So Dr. Hesong asked, do you feel the need to revise this paragraph? Yes. So no repeating numbers, just make it succinct and more abstract. I will discuss the recently approved agent. How can we reconcile the difference in alternative hypothesis? 30%, 20% placebo. No, we don't have to reconcile anything. We can just discuss it that the desmoid tumor is unique, that even placebos can show response rate of 8% or 20%, and that's been shown in other tumors. And that is the reason why we wanted to have higher cutoff for the alternative hypothesis, not 20% or 25%, but 30%. Yeah. So we can discuss that in that way. Some papers refer to these tumors as soft tissue sarcoma. However, after more thorough research, I found that the 8th edition of American Joint Committee on Cancer Tumor KNM staging system for soft tissue sarcoma specifically exclude desmoid. Therefore, I will remove the paragraph that discusses soft tissue. Yeah, I agree. Number 8. The tumor response. Nivo-IP may not be related to direct immunologic effect of tumor cells, but could be related to alterations in endocrine function because endocrine adverse effects were reported in a number of patients. Did the investigator check estrogen or sex hormone level? Did the patient with the response or prolonged stable disease experience endocrine adverse effect? The author should consider including in the discussion whether the effect of Nivo-IP is indirect by alteration hormone level and whether this should be addressed and evaluated in future trials. Have we checked estrogen sex hormone levels? Should we ask Megan whether the patient with response? So we can ask that question. So we didn't check these levels. We can ask Megan whether patient with good response or prolonged SD had any had any endocrine toxicities. And you can't ask Megan saying endocrine toxicity. You have to go to the toxicity table and one by one, ask her if these what we consider be an endocrine related toxicity are present in those patients, like one by one. And then we can annotate that. I think that's something we can address. I agree that sometimes the immunotherapy causes endocrine-related toxicities, and that activation or deactivation of that endocrine pathway can lead to tumor growth modification in desmoid tumors. So that's something that could be considered in our study as well as in the future study. So we can mention that briefly as per the reviewer's discussion suggestion. 9 in the inclusion. In the conclusion section, the manuscript and abstract authors state that the study demonstrates efficacy, which is not substantiated by the data presented. The trial may have demonstrated activity, but even this is in question as a result of objective response rate to treatment with placebo seen in randomized trial of sorafenib and the trial of lirogacestat. The authors conducted a single-arm trial and efficacy was not able to be evaluated. So how would you suggest revising conclusion combination to which resulted in this is the first study demonstrated the efficacy. So I think the reviewer has a problem with the word efficacy. So the first study to demonstrate, I would say, potential use of ICI in this rare cancer rather than efficacy. just say we agree with all these comments, and we understand that the use of word efficacy may be stretch. We'll just change the word to potential use of further research. Yeah, that should, I think that should be good enough. Any JM article reporting results of the neurogasset stat and surafenib. Yeah, we'll do minor accurate to state in the last sentence. In the study willingly provided informed consent on a document which has been approved. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. We can do that. Wow, this reviewer is very detailed, and so again, the reason why I'm going through this with you guys is how do you respond to reviewers and learn from them? And then next time you write a clinical paper, you know all these perspectives. Okay, so let's end our meeting here, and Liam and Sally, you can bring all your other stuffs to me so we can go over them after lunch. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Mm.